Welcome to Living the Dream, sponsored by Jackrabbit Dance, the podcast that brings together studio owners, dance educators, and leaders in the industry. Hosted by Ree Gold and Laura Giacomelli, each episode is packed with real talk, inspiration, and a passion for the dance life. We're so glad you're here. I'm ready, rocking back and forth, waiting for that to be done. Hello, friends. Happy Monday. I'm Ree. Welcome to Living the Dream. And as always, I welcome the fabulous Laura Giacomelli. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you, Ree. Hello to our dance fam. Hope everyone's having a great week so far. We're glad that you're with us for another great episode. Today, I'm really excited. We're diving into a conversation that is, I think, guaranteed to stir up some real, honest talk about the dance competition world.
Ooh, that's right. Our guest today is no stranger to this show or your Instagram feed. He's a strong voice in the dance community with a lot to say, and we're here for it.
Yep. But before we bring him in, let us know where you're watching from and make sure if you're a fan of Jason's or of his work, tell us about it in the comments.
Absolutely.
So, Ree, how have you been? How's your weekend going? How was it?
A weekend quiet, did a lot of work. As I've told you before, when I have a weekend that's free and I can get things done without disturbance, it's great. But I'll tell you what was cool is last week, our Massachusetts team flew down to North Carolina and we had some great meetings with the new North Carolina team. Strategized a whole bunch of things. We went and took pictures. We did a photo shoot as a group in headshots. And it was so cool. It was like, wow, look at this company is flourishing and all of these people are on board. I enjoyed it very much.
Good. I liked your reel that you guys posted about let me introduce myself. And it was like all of you spinning on a chair. I was like, I love that. That was so fun.
See, awesome. The young people are putting us on TikTok and Instagram. So I say, okay, I'm into this. You just direct me. You tell me what you want from me. And then everything that we do seems so like minimal when they get done. It's this phenomenal video that is, I'm loving it. And I'm loving not having to create it, that there's some people on the team to make this happen.
Because I feel like the video part of it, for my social media, I feel like that's for the dance studio. That's like the trickiest part. And I'm 40, but I feel like when it comes to like TikTok, I'm like, that's not my generation. Like that's not, I'm like, I don't feel, whereas I have my front desk girl, she's 20 or 21, maybe, Abby. And she's just like, I've saved 5 different trends. We're going to do one over the next few. I'm like, thank you. You need me to do something? Just let me know. But that's all you, girl, because that's so out of my realm. But like in all of her stuff, when they're young, they know what the algorithm likes because they see what's happening on the social media. So it's good that you have like that crew that you can trust with it because it makes a big difference.
Yeah, hire younger people, let them take care of it. They know exactly what they're doing. Yep. And move forward into this world of opportunity. Even though I don't want to do it, I also know how valuable it is.
You're good at it though. Even your interview with Slade was so much fun. I was laughing at that. I watched that when I was at the gym. What does this mean? You were like,
I know we're talking about something that our viewers and listeners may not have seen, but do you know that night they made me believe that I was right on all my answers? Like there's about 6 more answers. Like I'm driving home thinking I'm cool. And the next day when they get it edited, they're sitting there laughing. I go, I thought you told me I had the right answers. They go, no, that was part of the fun.
But I feel like Riz, you were kind of close. Because Riz means like full of charisma, which is like wicked cool. So I feel like that's
Okay,
close.
all right.
I'll give you that one. I was like, that wasn't far off. I feel like that's good.
You know the toilet one?
No, I didn't even. I had someone. I don't know some of the things that the girls say to me. My senior line, like a year or two ago, was 2 years ago. My one dancer, I was actually on a Monday after a podcast. So my hair was done, my makeup was done. And I go walking in and she goes, Miss Laura, you're looking a little sus. And I was like, you know what? I went like this, Rhea. I was like, a little sus. I was like, what does that mean? I was like, I've never felt so old. I don't even know what it means. And I said, thank you. So hopefully it was appropriate. So
I think our language is changing just a little bit because I don't know that we had all those words. No, I mean, things were wicked cool once and things were, I don't know, just a little bit different. Now you have to look up, but you have your phone to say, what does this mean?
That's what I did. They went on water break. I was like, what does sus mean? I was like in the corner of the room. Like, do I need to call her mother? Like it was fine. It was just like suspicious. Like where have you been? Like kind of thing. I was like, oh, well, that's fine.
I'm with you on that. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? This weekend, I did not have Cole, so I usually stack my weekends with a lot of work stuff when I don't have him. So I did a run of private lessons on Saturday, and then on Sunday, I do like an optional trip to New York City with my senior line, and we take the train to New York, and we walk the 10, 15 walks to Broadway Dance Center, and they get to take up to 3 classes, and like it was really fun. It was nice to see them all like jump into different things and, just be in like a different environment than Libra Dance Studio. I think it's really good for them.
What whose class did they take?
So, I mean, they were all over the place, to be honest. There's a choreographer up there, Chio. I love her choreography. She's like a street jazz choreographer. And she's fantastic. And every time the girls see her on the schedule, they jump into her class. But it was so funny, Rhea. I thought of you guys. I'm walking down the hallway of Broadway Dance Center, and I always do something for the reel, and I'm like recording, the pictures of the all the teachers. And as I'm walking, I'm like, oh, there's Dre. There's a picture of Dre on the wall because she's a teacher there. I was like, oh my God, I have to tell Rhea. So she wasn't teaching on Sunday. At least I don't think so. But they took from Chio. And they took from, to be honest, Rhea, there was 10 of us there, 3 teachers plus myself, and then the rest were dancers. And they all kind of just scattered. They took tumbling classes. They took they didn't all stay together, which I was really happy about because I was like, don't follow each other like a pack. Like if you end up in the same classes, it's okay. But like go take theater, go take tumbling. You all have different things that you like at the studio. Go experience those things here in New York. And they did, which was really cool. One of my teachers takes some ballet classes, leaps, runs, and jumps. So, yeah, it was a fun experience. It was the first time for a lot of them because a lot of them just moved up to senior line, and you only get to do that with me once you're a senior. So that was like a big deal to like leave the state and take them to New York. I literally, we got to New York City at the train station. I give the same speech before we even step foot in New York. I'm like, letting you all know, you don't run away. This is not Home Alone. You all stay close and you do not leave the building. They're like, got it. I'm like, okay, let's go. And they were great. They had such a good time. They were very tired, but they had a really good time.
I can't wait till I'm a senior and you invite me to
right. Same weekend next year, right?
Okay. Oh, are you inviting me? Am I old enough? Yes.
Absolutely.
I'll observe the classes.
Can you believe we should just walk into Dre's class together? That's all in our tap shoes.
I'll do
She'd
that.
fall over.
I'll do that with you for sure. Okay, I want to get into this conversation, but before we do, I want to thank Jackrabbit Dance for being our sponsor and always supporting what we do.
Yep. Jackrabbit offers the tools that studio owners need to run successful programs, from class registration to tuition tracking and everything in between.
And here we go. We'll be back with Jason Pickett after this commercial break. I love saying that.
This episode is sponsored by Jackrabbit Dance, the dance studio software empowering you to build the studio of your dreams. With over 20 years of experience, Jackrabbit has the solutions and industry insights to help your business grow. Want to increase student enrollment, optimize your pricing to be profitable, or improve staff retention? See how other studios are using Jackrabbit Dance to hit their goals year after year. To learn more, visit jackrabbitdance.com/benchmarks.
There he is.
Hi.
Hi, Jason Pickett. You've become a more than one-time guest on this show because you're always a good conversation. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Honored, truly honored.
So, Jason, when I first became aware of you, you don't know this, but I wanted to talk to you face to face because I'm like, wow, this guy's got a voice, and I know there's got to be some people out there who disagree sometimes with what he has to say. Then we had our conversation, like, this guy is a cool dude, and I'm not always calling people cool dudes, but I thought that right away about you, my friend. Your conversation, your voice is always logical. So I love having a conversation with you. I want to talk competition to start today.
I love it.
Okay. You've taught, choreographed, judged, built a reputation for speaking your mind. When it comes to dance competition, what made you decide to take those thoughts to social media and share them with the world?
I think like one of the first videos that I ever had like go really, I don't even want to say viral, but one of the first videos that like got a lot of traction was a video where it came from a point of frustration, honestly, because I had judged for a competition, a local competition here in Utah, and there was just some things that I just at my core did not agree with. There was scores being changed after they were submitted by the judges. There was conversations had with the judges about certain styles, particularly hip hop, that just weren't correct. They weren't. They weren't using proper vocabulary. They weren't, it wasn't a correct statement. And so I made a video about that. And that was kind of the first time I believe that I really started talking about like the dynamics of competition. But prior to that, it was a lot of like tips for dancers, like, here's how you can be more successful at competition. And that really was just coming from me judging all this time. And I think, anyone that has judged, I feel the same way now, like being on convention and judging auditions at convention, when you're on that side of the table, it's much easier to be like, man, if you just did this little tiny thing, it would make a world of difference in the outcome. And I wanted to, to give that to dancers and, offer up some perspective that was not really what was being given, because I think a lot of judges, when they speak about competition, they speak from what they imagine is their perspective or what they think is the correct perspective to have, when in reality, judges are just people like anybody else. And no matter how unbiased or no matter how objective you try to be, you can't possibly be that, because you're just a human being. And so to me, it was like, well, let me give these dancers some tips and tricks of like, how do you actually appeal to the human nature of these judges? And that will ultimately help you do a lot better at competition.
What do you mean by that? Appeal to like the human nature? Can you go a little bit deeper with that?
100%. A lot of it too comes from like when I was a teacher, you know, I'm very, very competitive, very competitive. And so it was always a question of like, okay, how do I get, you know, I'm the type of person where like I can see the flaws in competition, but at the same time, if I'm going to go, I'm going to play the game and I'm going to play to win. And so I realized really quickly that, especially in the hip hop category, but I truly think it spans a lot of categories, performance reigns. Performance backed by pretty good dancing, that's the caveat. Performance backed by pretty good dancing and pretty good choreography is almost unbeatable 90% of the time. And the reason is because the judges, they want to have a good time. They want to enjoy themselves. Yeah. They're sitting there for 8 hours at a time watching the same routines, the same music, the same moves. They, even if they don't think they do, they want a dancer that comes out on stage and gives them attention and looks at them and performs to them and makes them feel something. And so that was what I led with. Is I would always tell my dancers, like, if you guys can perform, if you can make the judges feel something and connect to you, now we have skin in the game. Now they're going to be much more easy on you. They're not going to be as picky because they like you, because they like the energy that you're giving.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I mean by like, if you can appeal to the human nature of the judges, you're going to have more fun on stage, one, but also you're going to end up doing better at competition because the judges are enjoying what you're bringing to the table.
Right. I feel like that's so true. And I also feel like it kind of proves it too when you have the littlest ones on stage and they just love, like you see the pure joy and you're like, wow, like that passion, that fire that's in them, that you almost have to like control the energy almost with them because they just get so excited to be on stage. But that pure joy, it's like I just feel like you can't score them low, but you can't. It's like they come on and you're like, oh, here we go, here comes the fireworks. Like it's like in the middle of the day, it like lights the stage up.
100%.
Because I think you can truly feel that joy from them and that connection. And I can understand as a judge while you're like, well, I'm not going to take a point off because they're not putting in their kickball changes. Like they're doing it with so much power and energy and life. It's like, how could you do that? You know?
100%. I agree wholeheartedly.
No,
what do you say if I add to that being uniqueness?
Yeah.
That gets the judge to sit on the edge of their chair. When
100%.
Different from the other 80 people who just went.
Yep. You can see it and you can feel it. When a dancer, whether it's competition stage or it's a convention class, when a dancer comes in and they know themselves and they're comfortable in their skin and you know, and sometimes it's outwardly expressed. Like sometimes they come in like a really cool outfit or really cool hair and it's like, that kid's interesting. Sometimes it's more internal, but when they know themselves, it's like, it's something intangible and it's just like, it's captivating. And you're just, you get so caught up in the energy of it all that you just naturally miss things that you might notice if that isn't there because you're just enjoying what's being put on the stage. And so, it's an interesting phenomenon for sure.
When it comes to choreography and especially like in a long competition weekend, because that's one thing I will say about judging. I when I look at those judges on Friday, I'm like, ooh, you are in for a long weekend. Like it's a level of respect that I'm like, I might have to sit through 500 routines, but you're going to sit there and give feedback to 500 routines. So I don't even think I can really wrap my brain around it. But when it comes to like watching choreography, what are the kinds of movement or like storytelling as a judge that really lights you up? And then on the flip of that, what are some that you're like, oh, not again. I already saw this.
That's a good question. I mean, I'll preface this by saying that like I am a strong advocate that like choreography plays a big role. I get a lot of flack when I talk about this, but you know, it's just you can't separate it. And I fully understand it's not in the dancer's control, but like that's what we're watching. We're watching the choreography. So naturally, the choreography, even if it's not a huge part of our score sheet, it plays a huge role in the overall perception of the routine, because that's what helps the dancers execute or not, is that vehicle. I think
it's also the artist. I just have to throw that in there.
100%, 100%. Yeah, it goes both ways. Like, great choreography can elevate a dancer who maybe isn't quite there yet experience-wise, but on the flip side, a dancer that is there experience-wise can elevate choreography that's not as experienced. So it goes both ways, 100%. I think I'm always really intrigued by pieces that feel really intentional. Like, that to me is what draws me in, is like, if and that could be an overarching intention, just like, the choreographer set out to do something that was unique to them or unique to the moment, or it could be something where each individual moment is very, very intentional. I feel like that's where I'm the most captivated. I feel like, truthfully, it's easy to check out when things aren't intentional, when it feels like a choreographer put something in just to put it in, as if we had a sheet of paper that was like, did they do a turn? Yes. Did they do a leap? Yes. We don't have that. We're not, there's not a lot of judges, truthfully, that are even judging from that perspective. We're judging what's on the stage. I judged with somebody once, and they said the greatest thing ever that I've never forgot, which was, we're judging you based off of what's in your routine, not what is not in your routine. So, with that logic, I want things to be intentional. I want every choice to be made to be purposeful and add to the overarching theme, whatever that is. I don't even necessarily get too burnt out with particular themes because I enjoy the different perspectives. But I think it's much more about, like, when I see something that's like, why did you do that? When it feels like it was just like, it almost feels like it was like, they watched it and they were like, oh, we need something there. And it's like, no, you didn't. You didn't. We were on such a good roll and you had me right on the edge of my seat. And then you severed that relationship when you disrupted that flow. And so I think that the broader component of that is try not to second guess yourself. As a choreographer, as a teacher, trust your gut and trust what feels right, and try not to second guess yourself, because a lot of times, it's just like when you're taking tests in school, like, your first answer was probably the right answer. And when you second guessed it and you changed it and you got it wrong, that's because you didn't go with that intuition that was kind of telling you and guiding you.
And I think I want to say also, as a choreographer and as a studio owner, on the flip side of it, I've had feedback, because my dancers will sit down and we'll listen to all the feedback from the judges, and I love that. And I've gotten feedback from the judges where, not often, but, oh, it'd be nice if you maybe tried this or tried that. And the girls think we're going to change it. And I'm like, no, I like how that looks. And they're like, but that one judge said that we should change it.
Yep.
And I was like, but you guys, like, this is art.
Yeah.
We're not playing soccer, right?
100%.
Like, this wasn't a penalty. This is art. So I think it's also a nice learning experience for them too, to understand that this is choreography. This is an art form. Yes, we're putting on a competitive stage and we're being judged and going up against each other and all of that. But I think there's also, I don't know, them understanding that, and I think also respecting their choreographers and trusting their choreographers, because then you go to the next competition and no one's first overall and they're like, we didn't change anything, and they're like,
100%.
I'm like, do you guys see now? Like, it's interesting to, I think, maybe as a choreographer, to look at it from their eyes, like, oh, well, this person's saying this, and we have to, I'm like, you guys, this is just feedback, like, we take what we want, we leave what we don't. And that, at least that's how I approach cleaning dances after
1000%.
going to competition.
Yeah.
I think that's more respectful to hearing them, but also taking what we want and not expecting even my staff to, like, change their routines after one person's feedback was whatever, like, it goes against what they liked.
It's an opportunity to think. I feel like it's an opportunity to just question. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to question and be like, because sometimes I've had situations where I've just for whatever reason gotten blind during the choreography process, and and then I get feedback back. And, one example is like I said a piece, and it was a friend of mine that actually judged it. And the studio sent me the feedback, and I recognized his voice right away. And he was just digging into me. He didn't know it was my piece, but he was just digging into the piece. He's like, why are we not transitioning? Like, why are we running through all of our transitions? And I watched the video, and I'm like, you got me. You're right. You're right. Yep. And so, it's sometimes the feedback is valuable, and it's sometimes the feedback is like, okay, I get that. But then, like you said, sometimes it's like, I see it. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm gonna stand tall on this one because it's the choice that I wanted to make. And I think that power of that confidence is what makes us artists,
Yeah, and I think I just take it more of as like a dialogue, not like a
100%.
I'm like this. Try this. See if this would work better. Or I think that's how I approach getting the critiques, because I'm always open to like feedback, especially when it comes to my choreography. And I feel like as artists, that's nice going into the competition world, is that you do get 3 different choreographers' eyes on your routine. So I will never shy away from hearing choreography like critiques. I love that. Like,
as a judge, the framework is really important, because like I'm a teacher judge for the convention that I'm on, so I don't adjudicate. I just give feedback on choreography, costume, music, appropriateness, things like that. And I oftentimes will take the perspective of like, I'm not there at the table. My job is not to change this person's choreography or anything like that. My job is to offer up perspective that could maybe help them. So, if something's not reading, I want to make sure that I let them know, hey, this part is not quite, I don't know, something's missing here. Maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's the dancers, maybe they need to pull up a little bit more. But just to kind of tip off of like, okay, this idea that I had is not quite reading. So how can I adjust that? So I think that idea of like having it be a conversation is so important for the judges and for whoever's receiving that critique as well.
Right. Yeah.
I wrote down 2 things from that last talk. And one thing I want to say to you is, I feel bad that somebody came to you and said, choreography isn't as important as the other things. To me, I want good choreography and strong technique. I don't want to see the same thing. That's, I think, what I meant by the uniqueness earlier.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like, to me, I want you to give me some piece of choreography that contains something I've never seen before, or a feel I've never felt before, or a piece of music that I've never felt before.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I consider choreography one of it's so don't hire me as a judge out there. It's one of my biggest criteria. And wait, I wrote down something else. Critique. How valuable it is how open the choreographer or the teacher is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I know that I've been involved in this competition world for a long time. And I could say to one teacher, right-hand corner, this choreography, I'd like to see it center stage. I think it would be more effective. And there would be one who'd say, oh, thank you for saying that. I didn't notice it. And there'd be another one who said, why are they criticizing my choreography in front of my kids?
Oh, that's interesting.
So in my mind, it's like, I want to be able to say that, because I'm saying it because I really believe if you move that to center stage, it will be more effective.
100%.
But in reality, somebody could look at that and, be upset.
100%.
This is what's hard about competition for this person.
Yeah.
I feel like that also. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ray.
No, you go. You're good.
No, I think that goes back to the choreographer and the studio owner, don't you think? It's like, if we're going to put our kids in competition and we're going to put our work out there to be critiqued, well, then we have to be open to whatever the feedback and be the people who are the role models of how you're going to receive it. Are you going to receive it and be like, no, no, no? Like, when I didn't like that one critique from the judge, I didn't say, no, he's wrong. And this is how, like, I just said, I don't see it that way. Like, and I like how it is, and I think it feeds into the next transition smoothly. The reason why I didn't, and I actually remember saying to the kids, the reason why I didn't do it that way is because I saw this happening next and it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't connect properly.
Yeah.
And then there's times where I've said, let's try it. And I've liked it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I never thought to do that on an angle upstage and make the lift go that way instead of coming down. Like, and I'm like, let's keep that. I think it's that falls back on us. I think as choreographers and studio owners, if we're going to put the kids in that space, we have to realize we're putting ourselves in that space too. Like that the choreography is a part of the technique, the critique. Like, and that's us
100%.
because I see the choreography like that's the script that we're giving the kids.
Yep.
They can put their exclamation points on it and their periods and like all of that, but like we're giving them the script. It's their job to act it out and execute it as performers. But I think it's important that we're open to getting feedback about that script. But that's just my take on it.
I agree.
Okay, Jason, what message would you send to studio owners and teachers about how they can support growth and well-being of their dancers, both on stage and off?
Yeah, I think right now, I mean, lately I've been giving this talk to teachers and directors. I've done it 3 times now about preventing dancer and teacher burnout. And I think a huge component of it is shifting away from reward-based, like using competitions as the metric for success. I think it's a really poor metric to use. And I think that if you're using that as the metric for the success of your studio, as an owner, you're going to get frustrated. As a teacher, you're going to get frustrated. And as a dancer, you're going to get frustrated because the amount of time that these kids are putting into what they're doing. I mean, I just had a mentorship call this morning with a dancer who dances 7 days a week, 4 to 5 hours a day. If their metric for success is how well I do at competition, that's a recipe for disaster because you times that amount of hours times 6 to 7 months of prep. That's the input in their brain. I have put this amount of time into what I'm doing. They go to competition and they get sixth place or 7th place or 10th place or 3rd place. They immediately go, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I put in all that work and I didn't get what I wanted to get. So that's my biggest piece of advice right now. And what I've really been kind of harping on is like, we have to get away from competition being the metric of success. There needs to be other things in place that allow these kids to track their progress and track what they're doing. And I think also one thing that I've witnessed from being inside of studios, from directing, and now from being on the outside is that studios a lot of times struggle with communication, in the sense that, when there's an issue at the studio, you get the dancer going to the parent goes to the director goes to the teacher. So by the time we've gotten to the teacher, we've gone through 4 different channels of communication. And then what happens is it gets reversed. Then the teacher gives their input. That goes back to the director. Then the director goes to the parent. Then the parent goes to the dancer. And then we wonder why we can't get fluid conversation happening and problems solved quickly. Communication has to be better. We have to create a space where all parties feel comfortable advocating for themselves and speaking up and saying what they need. I'm a big proponent of like, I want the kids to feel able to say what's on their mind and say if they have an issue. I'm going to get 7 kids that come up to me with really terrible things. Like they're going to be like, I'm mad that class went over 5 minutes. Okay, I'm sorry about that. But I'm going to get one that's a really good piece of feedback. I'm going to get one kid that comes up to me and goes, hey, Jason, like, I just want you to know that like in class the other day, when you said this specific thing, that didn't make me feel very great. And now I get the opportunity to go, you know what? Thank you. Now I can rephrase that for the next time I say it because I didn't know that you received it like that. So to me, I think those are the two things. We've got to shift the metric for success, and we've got to open up the door for conversation, because once we've done those two things, now we can really start to like flourish and build programs that have longevity, and also, you know, create just really strong dancers and humans as well.
And I think to add on to that, as far as the human part of it, I know we always say only 1% of your top students go professional.
If that, yeah.
So, right. So these kids are training and training and training
Yep.
and training. And lots of them maybe get to college and they're like, nope, I don't want to dance ever again.
Yep.
Or I'll do a dance team, I'll do a dance minor, but I don't want
Yep.
to dance professionally.
Yeah.
So what else are they getting out of dance, right?
Yeah.
Other than learning triple pirouettes, other than learning beautiful soda shots, what are
Yep.
we teaching them, right? So I think, and what made me spark this in my brain was to have that child be able to advocate for themselves by the time they're on their senior line, to
Yep.
come up to you and have a conversation with their mentor
Yep.
is really cool. Like,
100%.
and I feel like I would have felt comfortable back in the day to have a conversation with my mentor when I was in high school. But I think the kids are different now. Social media and
Yes.
hiding behind their phones
Yes.
and all of that. So I think
Yeah.
as studio owners, that is a skill, a life skill that they can get at the dance studio
100%.
from being on team. How can you work together as a team? How can you advocate as a team? How
Yep.
can you speak up for yourself when you feel like you need to as a
Yep.
as a dancer and as a teammate, right? Not I don't know. That just like kind of sparked in my head when you said that, because I feel like that's something that a lot of kids right now that I teach, they struggle. They run
Yeah.
right to mom, which I understand. It's a comfort. They want to run to mom, then mom comes. But I'm like, if it just happened in our classroom, come up to me.
Yeah.
We're approachable. I say at the end
And
of every class, thank you for working so hard. Great job. You know, like we make that. I know my teachers make that environment, but I think pushing that even more is something that we can do as studio owners and
100%.
teachers, creating that
And,
environment.
I mean, we get blind too. Like, there's so many times where it's like, I've had kids come to me with concerns like about their studio, the kids that I work with from afar, and the first thing I always say is like, "Did you talk to your teacher?" And every time they're like, "No," and I'm like, "Let's start there. Go tell them
Right.
what the issue is." And every single time they come back on the next call and they're like, "I talked to my teacher and it was fantastic and it went amazing and
Right.
my problem solved." And it's like, that's
Right.
what we're after here. And I think to your previous point, it's remembering that we can't train these kids to be professional dancers if they burn out before they even get there. It's not possible. It's not possible. So we have to start looking at like what the goal is right now and what we're possibly preparing them for. If you make them a
Right.
good person and then you make them confident, you make them strong as a person, then they can opt to become a professional dancer if they want to.
Right. Because the dance world, as we know, is a hard world. If you want to be a professional dancer, you have to be
1,000%.
able to advocate for yourself. You are a business. By the
1,000%.
time you're 20, 21 years old, you are a business, a walking business. So
Yep.
it's like we have to invest that in them truly if they're going to make it and be able to survive financially, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be sarcastic
Do it.
and say the kids run to their moms, but the moms don't run to the teacher either. The mom runs to another mom. Okay, so that may have been sarcastic, but I mean it, meaning that doesn't exist
Yeah.
for the kid to see it. Oh,
Yeah.
the mom goes up to the teacher and says, "Can you explain why you do blah, blah, blah?" No,
Yeah.
they go
Yeah.
to another mom who doesn't know why they do it, but she guesses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the end of that little point I want to make. It's like if the parent didn't learn that, the kid isn't going to learn that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's true. That's true. And we're only a part of the village. That's what I've had to
Yep.
like wrap my brain around after 15 years. I'm only part of the village. I'm not the entire village. So they're coming to me with certain skills and I try to add on to that or help but I can't reframe the entire village because I'm just part of it.
Yep.
And that's like a responsibility I've also had to like reframe in my mind because I'm like, well, why would that happen? Why would they do that? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and I'm like, not my kid.
Yeah.
It's not my kid. So you have to like roll it back a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
No, I say that sometimes we are the studio, the teacher. We are sometimes the most stable people these kids have in their lives, or the most stable experience they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a mom say to me, I raised, I brought their two kids were in my studio since they were little, since I first opened up. And whenever there was a problem, she would come right to me, always. The mom. She was very good about that. She'd send me an email, hey, something happened. Can we talk tomorrow? It was never like a zigzag moment. She just always came to me. And when her daughters graduated, her and her husband came up to me and they said, you helped raise them. And I was like, she goes, there were days where you saw my children and interacted with my children more than I did. And I was like, wow, I never really clicked because I'm like, yeah, they were at my studio 5 days a week.
Yep.
They're getting home at 4 on the bus, leave them by 5, and I have them till 9.
Yeah.
They're in bed by 10. So I mean, I did have them for a majority of their childhood. You know what I mean? Like, especially their teen years. So like that's something that always stuck with me. That level of, thankfulness that they appreciated, them being with me, but also that level of responsibility. It's like there's a weight that comes with that you have to show up for them, you know?
100%.
I think that more teachers need to recognize the weight of their influence in their students' lives and the words that they use, the reason that they do what they do.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean
you got to have a good mentor. That's why I mean, this is like as a young teacher, like I wish that I had somebody that gave me a little bit more direction in the beginning. And I think that it's something that I think it's also something that studios can invest more time and resources into, which is just training your teachers and mentoring them on correct communication. I love when studios do training around the teaching and the dance side of things, but also it's not a bad idea to take your teachers to communication seminars and to things that are adjacent to what we do, because we spend a lot of time with these kids, and it's not like another sport where you're changing coaches every few years and you're changing teammates every few years. Some of these kids are going to dance with the same kids and the same teachers for 10 to 15 years. There's no other activity that is like that. So, that guidance is really crucial for a lot of these kids.
I say mental health training as well.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. And not just for the kids, but for the mentors.
Yes. Yeah. I recently had a chat with she's a PhD in behavioral analysis, and I love something she said. She said something along the lines of, you don't have to have a degree to still help these kids, but you have to seek out the information and you have to be open to learning about it. And I think that's powerful, because I think a lot of teachers are like, I don't know, my hands are tied. And it's not that you have to be a therapist. It's not that you have to do anything like that. But even just being aware of certain things and certain cues and certain studies that are out there give you a lot of power in the classroom that you maybe didn't have before.
Yeah. And I think there's power in being able to read your classroom.
100%. Yeah.
I forget, Lauren was on our podcast 1 or 2 episodes ago, and she was saying that you need to be the thermostat of your room, not the thermometer. And that totally stuck with me.
Yep.
Like,
you set the temperature.
You set the tone, and you need to be aware of what's going on around you and either bring it down or bring it up. Like that's your job. And that does come, though, I feel like, with the confidence of a teacher, the years of experience, the continuing education, all of that. And I think
100%.
Understanding and having the confidence of yourself as a teacher and choreographer, the more that you invest in yourself, the more you can handle that classroom.
Yep.
Whether it's a rec or a competitive, whatever the classroom is.
1,000%.
We have a lot more questions here, but we're not going to get through them. I will ask you this. What's next? Because I'm asking because I know there's something next. What are you up to? Tell us.
Yeah, I'm starting a new show actually. It's called The Side Dish, and it's a current events podcast around dance and around the arts. And it's me co-hosted by a friend of mine named Jeffrey Boom. He's a fantastic choreographer and teacher here in Utah. And yeah, I'm really excited to just give some perspective and give some thoughts around like what's happening in the dance space, because I think there's a lot of like confusion sometimes when things happen, and just to be able to give a little bit of guidance on like what's happening and where it's happening and suggest events and suggest things like that, to me is really, really exciting. And aside from that, just continuing the mission of just, teaching and educating. And I've been really enjoying like helping studios lately. That's been something that's been really, really fun for me, is giving guidance and, suggestions to teachers and studios and sort of helping them get to a point where they can be self-sustaining and this can be a career for them. So yeah.
Awesome. I'm interested in that podcast. I feel like that's very different from anything else that's out there. So I wish you the best of luck with it. It's gonna be really cool.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're gonna kind of shift before we end, and we're gonna go into a rapid fire round. So
Yes, okay.
literally, I'm gonna ask you a question. First thing that comes to your mind.
I'm locking in.
So most overused trick on the comp stage.
Oh, I'm gonna go with head spring. That's what's coming to my mind. Head spring.
Okay.
Go-to snack at a long weekend.
Go-to snack on a long weekend is probably going to be a Bear Bell protein bar.
Oh.
Ooh. Not peanut M&Ms.
Not peanut M&Ms.
I think I just shared mine.
Not peanut M&Ms.
Your favorite style to teach?
Favorite style to teach is I teach like a movement class that is all about just introing kids to like how to move, their movement, understanding texture. That's my favorite class to teach.
What's one thing that instantly lifts your mood in class?
Interactive students. 100%. If there's kids or a group of kids that are like, they're giving me banter back or they're responding to me, like that like really feeds me really, really quickly. And it ends up being a great class.
Yeah, because then it's a conversation, not just you lecturing.
100%.
I agree with that.
Yep.
And last but not least, what does living the dream mean to you?
I think I think as I'm like at this point in my life, it means balance and like having time to do the things that I like to do. I have two young kids now. So for me, like that's a huge driver for me, is like, I want to be able to spend time with them. So I think living the dream is being able to, like, for me, it's being able to spend time with my family and also support us financially.
Yep. I 100% agree with that. Like that's how I live my life as well. That work-life balance is real once you have babies.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Jason, for being here today and talking about dance education, everything that matters to us in the comp world. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Jason, you're always honest and appreciated here, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And thank you to Jackrabbit Dance for sponsoring Living the Dream on a weekly basis, as well as our other podcast. We appreciate you very much.
Yep. And you can catch the replay of today's episode on Spotify or Apple Podcast. And we'll see you next time, everybody.
And until then, we're going to do this together.
Together? Let's go.
Yeah, let's try it. Keep
living the dream.
I let you finish it. How cool is that? Thanks, guys. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. That's a wrap on this episode of Living the Dream. A huge thank you to our sponsor, Jackrabbit Dance, for their support of our community and helping dance studios thrive. If you loved today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your dance friends. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep dancing, and keep making a difference.